I'd like to call this meeting to order, please. I'll first. How's that? I'd like to call this meeting to order this evening. I'm first going to read the Open Public Meeting Statement. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Laws, 1975, be advised that notice of this meeting was made by posting on the bulletin board of Town Hall and serving the officially designated newspapers. A notice stating that this meeting would take place at the Board of Education building at 434 Milburn Avenue, Milburn, New Jersey, at 7:30 p.m. on January 22nd, 2026. Roll, please.
Allison Camfield,
Here.
Zachary Davis, Robert Frankel,
Here.
Brad Jenkins, Gary Rosen,
Here.
Justin Salin, Elizabeth Wenga, Christine Best,
Here.
Ray Calcano.
Here.
Thank you. First announcement, Brad Jenkins, having a new baby. There was a slight emergency, so he will be joining us shortly. So we'll forgive him. Right now, I just want to thank everyone for really taking the opportunity for their voice to be heard. We really appreciate this. I'd like to add that we all have the same shared goal, and that is protecting this community. And for many, it's our most significant investment. So while we may have different perspectives of how best to achieve this goal, I ask that we approach this conversation with a sense and shared responsibility, and above all, respect for different views. Okay, so at this time, what I'd like to do is first and foremost introduce our attorney, Catherine Kopp, and she's going to run through a few things for all of you. Okay.
Hi. Okay, so before I forget to say anything, if you need to have a conversation amongst yourselves while anything is happening, a presentation being given, or anyone else is giving their public comment, please step outside and speak very quietly, because this is being recorded and the microphone is extremely sensitive. So even if you're talking quietly in the audience, it may still get picked up and interfere with the audio of the recording. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was what the process for designating a historic district looks like. So anyone can request that a neighborhood be designated as a historic district, whether it's an individual, a group of individuals, someone from the Historic Commission, the TC, anyone, okay? And then that's, once the request is made, reports get prepared and reviewed by the Historic Commission to see if it warrants designation. And then if it does, the next step is this public hearing, where we'll take your comments and the commission will decide whether or not to refer to the town committee for further action. And this commission does not decide whether or not a neighborhood is designated as a historic district. They simply make a recommendation of yes or no, and then it's up to the TC to make the ultimate decision. And how we got here for this specific neighborhood is that there was a group of homeowners in the neighborhood who had requested that the report be prepared and the process started for designating the neighborhood as a historic district. So we're here tonight just to hear your comments, and then for the commissioners to make a decision on whether or not to recommend the designation.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. Before we start, due to the audience size, we are going to limit that to 3 minutes. And then certainly if the 3 minutes and everyone's had a turn, you're certainly welcome to come up for a second time. We're also, out of courtesy, we are going to first let the people that are affected by this designation stand up first, okay? And then anyone else in the audience that's support of or opposed or have a story, certainly we just ask courtesy to let those that, are the proposed designation to be able to speak first. With that said, my next speaker will be our HPC consultant. And he will kind of give a history of your neighborhood and anything else that we need to know.
Can we ask a question in the middle?
Not yet. Can you wait? And then
Sure.
we'll certainly move forward on that. So Matt, please.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Matt Doohan. I'm just going to start off with some general historic district information.
Let me just swear you in real quick. Can you state your full name for the record
Matthew Doohan, Doohan,
and your position?
Historic Preservation Constable.
Okay, and do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to provide this evening will be truthful and accurate?
I do. Perfect. So yeah, I'd just like to start with some historic district information and then move on to the Woodfield neighborhood itself. So designated local historic districts recognize a group of buildings, properties, or sites as historically or architecturally significant and are evaluated to determine whether they are contributing or non-contributing structures within the district. The contributing resource is one that was constructed either before or during the period of significance established for the local historic district and retains a high degree of architectural integrity from that period. Non-contributing resource is one that was built after the period of significance or has been altered such that it no longer conveys its original design intent nor architectural association with the overall district. Districts vary in size from many hundreds of structures to just a few. Local historic districts are only recognized and regulated by municipalities, in contrast to those on the state and/or national register. They can only be designated by local ordinance and fall under the zoning jurisdiction of an appointed citizen board called a Historic Preservation Commission, like we have in Melbourne. An HPC in New Jersey follows the municipal land use law and provides communities with the means to ensure growth, development, and change to take place in ways that respect the important architectural, historical, and environmental characteristics within the town. Melbourne is one of the leading towns in New Jersey, recognized by Preservation New Jersey as having one of the best historic commissions and by the State Historic Preservation Office as a certified local government in only 46 municipalities out of 565. Designation does not prevent owners from making changes to their properties, nor does it require them to restore or even fix up their properties, unless they are allowing it to deteriorate and collapse. Designation ensures that alterations, additions, or demolitions are in keeping with the historic character of the area. This happens through application design review, whereby the Historic Preservation Commission evaluates certain modifications that are planned for any structure within the district in order to issue a certificate of appropriateness. Now moving on to the Woodfield neighborhood itself. The Woodfield Short Hills estates are significant as a distinctive example of early 20th century suburban planning and architecture in Melbourne. Established in 1926 and promoted by Philip J. Bowers and Company, Woodfield represents the later phase of the Short Hill suburban ideal, first envisioned by Stuart Hartshorne. A community that balanced natural beauty, privacy, and refined residential design within commuting distance of New York City. Its curved roads, wooded lots, and architect-designed homes in Tudor, Georgian, and colonial revival styles exemplify the interwar era's emphasis on craftsmanship, landscape harmony, and exclusivity. After the Second World War concluded, more structures were built in undeveloped lots, including the ranch style, modern revival homes, and many other eclectic styles. Preserved largely intact in layout and character, Woodfield remains an enduring reflection of the social, architectural, and environmental values that defined the evolution of America's early planned suburbs. Woodfield emerged in the 1920s as part of the broader transformation of Melbourne from a pastoral landscape of grand estates into an elegant commuter suburb. As older estates were subdivided, developers began crafting distinct residential neighborhoods, including Woodfield, designed to capture the prestige of the earlier estate era while accommodating modern suburban living. A 1926 map labeled Woodfield Short Hills Estate marks the formal planning of the neighborhood, showing generous lots arranged along tree-lined drives such as Woodfield, Grosvenor, Kenilworth, Dumbarton, and Oak Lawn. This wooded hilltop of perennial charm, with homes designed by architects such as Kenneth Elwell, reflected the refined architectural styles of the late 1920s and carrying on into the 1940s. There are 54 properties located within the survey district, including 26 contributing properties and 28 non-contributing properties. In summary, historic preservation on the local level is really a catalyst that gives physical places their cultural identity and helps promote a sense of local pride and stewardship for future generations. It is a tool that can be used to substantially contribute to the continued quality of life and economic vitality across New Jersey.
Thank you, Matt. So at this time, we're going to start new business, and so we're going to move forward on that. Catherine, whoever comes up, can you explain the process, please, for them, like their name, address?
Oh, sure. When you come up to speak, if you could state your full name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please.
So at this time, we'd like to invite people to come up that live within the proposed district. And is the podium, Sarah?
The
Working?
mic's not working, so they'll just need to project, but the neat board will pick up for those watching online.
Okay. So somebody would like to lead?
Sure. I can be loud.
Okay.
So this is not working.
I guess not.
For the record, I'm Laura Overdeck, that's Overdeck, and I'm at 35 Petalworth in Bloomfield Estates. Thank you for having us here tonight to have this discussion. Everybody's been looking forward to it. I'm here because I think I and a lot of my neighbors who live in these older homes really want to protect something that I'm afraid we're taking for granted. You know, I'm a Jersey girl. I grew up here. My parents are still here. I'm gonna die in this house. Like, I'm not leaving. And, I mean, not literally. You know what I mean? And, you know, looking at the neighborhood, it is beautiful. It is half historic homes. And the ones that aren't historic right now are also really beautiful for the most part. They're pretty traditional styles and materials. We haven't been wrecked by anything yet. But I would say a few years ago, I actually would have been against this. I'm a small government, non-regulation kind of person. But I've been watching what's been going on in our town. And we all know that there are streets where houses have been mowed down. You can build a much bigger one. People who are doing that for profit don't build with quality. And we really have some eyesores that on certain streets, that street is no longer charming. It's never going to be on a brochure advertising our town. It pulls down the property values. This hits our wallets when this happens. And I looked more then into, well, what would it take to be historic? And I was relieved to find out it doesn't sound that bad. And I've done a couple of things to my house. It has not been an event. I've checked to find out if the kind of roof I have, which actually is faux slate, don't tell anybody, and my wrought iron fence are, you know, which were not super expensive. They fit the guidelines. So I think this is doable, and I'm glad we're here to talk about it and to, you know, have you work with us, not against us, to save our houses. I'll tell you, the thing I'm concerned about is that outside parties, not in our neighborhood, they don't like this. They want to mow down your house. I'm hearing people give quotes for work. Someone said it was going to cost $5 million to renovate her house. That's just misleading. A friend with a house that's 50% bigger just did a gut reno and addition for less than $3 million. I mean, unfortunately, professionals are going to want to mislead us. I'm also concerned that a neighbor who has been saying he's not going to tear down the house, we've come to learn that he's applied for a demolition permit. I mean, I have the printout of the letter saying not tearing down, and now I'm finding that out. You know, our neighborhood has never operated like this. Like, this makes me very sad and very concerned. And in short, because I see my time's up, I think we're at a moment, a watershed moment, to see, you know, as society becomes more disposable and cheap and kind of cutting corners, this is a moment to really preserve beautiful art. And I don't want to be like other neighborhoods in town where they didn't do this, they didn't go historic, and now they really regret it. So I appreciate you all listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Please.
I'm Manik Bamba, current resident of 251 Parsonage Hill Road and current owner of 23 Governor Road,
I'm sorry, can you spell your last name, please?
BAMBHA.
Okay, thank you.
So first let me tell you who I am. So I'm a founder of a sports technology company, 15 years, go to New York City 4 days a week. I'm not a builder. There are a lot of rumors which are said about me. I'm a builder, not a builder, never was a builder, never be a builder. I run my own company, pretty big company, and not a builder. That's the fact. We bought 23 Governor in August to bring it down. That's the fact, and build a new home. We have been looking for a land for 3 years in Short Hills. We have lived in Short Hills for 11 years. We went to the town and said, we as a family, my son is there, my wife is there, we have a dream to build a new home for ourselves, not a builder. And can we buy this property, 23 Governor, and bring it down and build a new home? And the town said, yes. We bought it for close to $3 million. Since then, we have been working with an architect. We hired an architect, his name is James Paragano, you guys are welcome to Google him up. Very well-renowned architect out of Morristown, not a builder level architect, either price-wise or quality-wise. That architect takes 6 to 8 months to design a home. A spec home normally is done in a year from the time the property is bought. Another rumor about me and our home is we're trying to build a spec home and flip a spec home. Completely incorrect. We're not builders, not interested in that kind of business. We're trying to build our own home. We were told by the township we're legally allowed to do that. We put our own money to buy that land and build that home. We have now spent 6 more months designing it. We have spent 3 months preparing for a demo. It's very obvious. You drive to 23 Governor, it's being prepared for demo. Nothing hidden about it. We are getting ready to bring that down as we are allowed to. What spooked us is on 7th of January, we went into the town and said, we got this notice, what's going on over here? And the town said, they are not even taking any more demo permits for that area, which is actually illegal. I actually consulted a lawyer, that's illegal. And we are very stressed about, we have the right to bring this down and build a new home. And now even township is pushing back on us
Sir,
and
I'm
saying,
sorry, your time is up, your time is up.
can I finish with 5 seconds?
Will
So,
allow, please.
what we like to say at the end is, we are against this thing, not because philosophically we oppose it or not, but we are $3 million in and 3 years looking for a property.
Okay,
This whole thing is putting a lot of stress on us. I have not slept for 20 days. And
What I'd
fake
like,
news about calling me a builder and calling our new home as a spec home and we are trying to flip it is not a good thing.
I appreciate that, and thank you, and give everyone else a chance to talk, and we certainly will let you come up again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please feel free, if you would like to say something, please come up.
So I'm going to try to project because my voice doesn't carry very much. So hello everyone. So I'm Laurence Capone, C-A-P-O-N-E. I've been a resident of Short Hills for 25 years,
What is your address?
48 Kenilworth Drive.
Okay, thank you.
So I would be a contributive house by definition.
Okay,
We moved into this house because we love the character and its historical dimension. We believe we are the caretaker of the house and always represent in terms of character and charm. We've been in the house for 15 years, but we also enjoy the neighborhood and the charm that it has because of historic dimensions. And I would be in support of the designation, again, because I believe this is our duty as owner of those historical property to continue and preserve that history for the future generations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Theodore Kuntz, that's Kundtz. I live at 108 Forest Drive, which is in the old Short Hill section, historical section.
So can we stop you just for
Sure.
a minute? Is there anyone else who is in the designated area that would like to speak?
Yeah, they should have priority.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. Then hang on, because you'll come back. to
okay, I'll
us.
come back.
Okay. All right. Who would like to go next? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Arjun Iyengar. We just closed on our home in 2 Kenilworth.
Your address.
2 Kenilworth.
Okay, I'm sorry.
We just closed on that address. I'm a lifelong New Jersey resident. I grew up in Livingston, and we plan to raise our kids. So when we were with my wife, we have twins that are 4.5 years old. We have a partitionable lot. We're not anticipating doing anything to partition our lot. We're planning to stay here long term. I'm not against the historical preservation. I think it's undue burden. It places an undue burden on our families that live here. I want to say about those of us that live in Kenilworth, we deeply value its beauty and character. There's a neighborhood people care for clearly. I'm very glad to be part of this community. That said, a formal historical designation is neither necessary nor appropriate here. Kenilworth does not represent a single cohesive historic district. The homes span different eras, styles, and levels of alteration, and the neighborhood has evolved organically over time. A historic designation would impose permanent restrictions and real financial burdens on homeowners, limiting reasonable renovations, sustainable upgrades, and the ability for families to adapt their homes to modern needs. These are private costs without a clear public benefit. Preservation should be thoughtful and proportional. Kenilworth's character is already protected through existing zoning, strong community standards, and voluntary preservation by homeowners who value history, as you can clearly see. We can celebrate the past without freezing the present. I respectfully ask the board to consider whether imposing an irreversible overlay is truly in the best interest of this neighborhood and its residents. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
No, I'm sorry, can you spell your last name, please?
Iyengar, Iyengar. First name is Arjun, Arjun, and 2 Kenilworth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Please, just feel free.
Hi, my name is Austin Ozawa. I'm at 50 Woodfield Drive. And our house is one of the contributing properties on the list. Me and my family are opposed to this historic preservation. Not because I don't think it's important and not because I don't love the properties and whatnot in our community, but I think it's evident even from the historical report that over half the properties are not contributing. It's a very different, it is already a mix, as noted before, of homes, beautiful homes, different eras. My house has been renovated so much that its inside is completely 2 add-ons on both sides. I mean, it's a completely different property, but it's a property I love. It's a property that I'm paying thousands of dollars to clean the slate roof on, and keep, and that's what I love about it. And I think to the point being made that like, we're here to preserve it. I've lived here for, about 7 years, kind of raised my children here, and not to do anything different. So I think that it's not something to be done through a historic preservation. I think it's overbroad. I think causing that to the whole community and imposing it on specifically less than 50% of the homes in the area, just you're not creating a historic preservation as much as you're locking in a minority subset of the population. I would be more than open to having discussions about covenants so we can all make sure our properties are not being subdivided to that point. I'd be completely for that, or some other things about flat roofs or other things that we can say so we can all get comfortable our community will be kept in an order that we like. But I think that doing it in this manner creates too much of a burden on people and creates a society that I'm always worried about what I can and can't do to my property. And to her point about the $5 million, that came from me and that came from my insurer. I pay full restoration costs to my brick home, so I can make it again, so I can keep this thing. But they are putting that over $5 million. That's just the truth. Happy to share. That's all I say.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, yeah, your last name again, please?
Austin Ozawa, Ozawa.
Thank you.
Steve.
My name is Peter Humphreys, Humphreys. I live at 41 Kenilworth Drive. I've lived in the house for nearly 34 years, so quite a while. I have I have a number of things to say, but I'll try to do it in 3-minute bursts and then come back if you want to. The first thing, this committee is charged with identifying historic buildings in the township. You haven't identified any buildings that in our neighborhood. The concept of the Woodfield neighborhood is a new one to me, but it's a new idea that we are in a development called Woodfield, but be as it may. But there's no building identified in that area that's being deemed historic. So I guess my first question is, how can we be in a historic district with no historic buildings? I don't understand that. Then the ordinance, I looked at the ordinance, and the ordinance talks about what things mean, and it's all defined. Historic means historical and architectural significance. Historical means related to history. I don't know what that means, but that's what it says in the statute. And so when you're looking for these historic districts, you've got to get in within the confines of what is a historical district under the ordinance, and you've got to show the facts to get into the definition. There are 3 types of buildings in our district. There's the key buildings, which we don't have any. Those are buildings that have historical, architectural significance. We have none. Then there are the contributing buildings. They have some architectural and historical significance. We have 26 apparently. And then we have 28 which have no significant historical value or architectural historical value, which I find surprising because there's really a lot of beautiful homes that are being dismissed as having no value, which I find strange. So I've got 3 seconds. I'll stop there. I'll return if I can.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on now.
Hi, my name is David Peets, Eeetz, 17 Woodlawn Road, which is a contributing property. Much like the woman who came up earlier and spoke about being a caretaker, yes, I feel like I am a caretaker. I knew what I was getting into when I bought the house. I have a slate roof. I understand the costs associated with that. I'm fully in support of designating this area as a historic district, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to remind everybody, or to point it out, the clock says it starts with 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And then once it hits the end of the 2 minutes, 30 seconds, it starts again with an additional 30 seconds. So just because it says 2 minutes, 30 seconds, you actually have a full 3 minutes.
There's 2 beats, right?
Yeah, there are 2 beats.
Hello, my name is Andrea Kayali, it's Kayyali. I'm a resident at 100 Woodfield Drive, which I believe is a contributing property. I'm also for the historic designation. I think we've been in our property for 8 years. When we came from Westfield, we were looking in Short Hills, and one of the things that drew us to the neighborhood was the character of the houses. And it's a very charming neighborhood. We love the space, the tree-lined streets, everything really about it, and it's what brought us here. As opposed to a house that costs about the same amount, but is more spot built. And I think that people kind of don't love spot building in neighborhoods. So we're happy to support the historic designation because we love our neighborhood and we want to see it retain its original character and charm.
Thank you. Please.
Good evening, board members. My name is David Wong. I live 6 Delbarton Drive. We moved to Milburn for the education, and I have never seen a more beautiful town. There's nothing more more beautiful than this town, so we love this town. We saw the house, we moved in, it's a Tudor, and I mean, the beauty of Tudors speaks for itself. So, however, we do feel that the beauty speaks for itself. We want to preserve it as much as possible, but we don't need a government regulations telling me what to do about my house. So it's the beauty speaks for itself. We will do our best to preserve it, but I don't want more government on my head telling me what to do. I don't want more regulations. As for the cost of upkeep and all that, we'll do the best we can, but we work for a living. We middle class people. So all this talk about slate roofs and iron fences or whatever, it's an undue burden on us, and like the committee to consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Please.
My name is Yogita Kasha, Kashyap. We're the newest owners in the district that is affected, 2 Kenilworth Drive. We looked far and wide. I'm a Long Island girl, and I was very resistant to moving to New Jersey. I will tell you that. And we looked everywhere, and as soon as we walked in the home, I think it was the first thing we saw on the market, I fell in love. And I think it's the oldest house in that area. I think it was built in like 18 something or maybe 1900. Looking at the paperwork, it was 1890. And it stole my heart. And this Long Islander who lives in Manhattan now, but we'll move to Jersey. I want to preserve it. I think that our kids love it. They're 4.5 years old. We want to stay a long time. We love the backyard. We love the property. There's no idea that we want to subdivide it. But I do think it is a burden. I mean, we're young. We have young kids. It's expensive, and we're working, we're commuting, and just the idea of I've never owned a home, so I don't know what it looks like to take care of one on top of then having other obstacles that could be hard for us to achieve. And so, if you want to know, in good faith, are the new owners looking to do anything to the district? Absolutely not. I want to have play dates. I want to have people over. I want to have community, and that's why we moved here. And I hope that our neighbors want the same. But that extra cost would be, I think, hard for us. So I oppose it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else from the neighborhood that would like to speak? Well, we got somebody coming. Hold on 1 second.
Hi, my name is Chuck Goodfellow at 5 Grosvenor, GOODFELLOW. Appreciate you giving us a chance to share our opinions on whether there should be a historic district or not. My wife and I moved to New Jersey about 9 years ago, a little over 9 years ago. We lived in Short Hills for 8 at this address. One of the things that attracted us to the community, to this particular neighborhood, because we looked at a number of homes, is that it was not designated a historic neighborhood. we wanted to retain the rights to remodel the home, based on the current restrictions that you have, but not to add any more restrictions to what we can and cannot do and ask for permission. So yeah, we're opposed to it being designated, and I fully appreciate all the people that say they have a home that they want to be a caretaker for. I don't think they need this designation to do that. They can do that and take that upon themselves. We live right next to a lot where a home was torn down and a new one was built. I mean, it's a beautiful new home. I don't know why anybody would want to live next to it. So, I don't know that these homes being torn down and the new ones being built are usually nicer than the ones that are being torn down. So we fully appreciate that somebody wants to invest that kind of money into our neighborhood. As a person that gets out in the community and walks and runs a lot, seeing these new homes is great. So again, we just wanted to go on record that we oppose the historic designation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Oh, please.
Hi everyone, my name is Hitesh Jain. I'm not a good public speaker, this is the first time I'm speaking. And I have some other problems also where I cannot speak very well, so please bear with me. My name is Hitesh Jain, Jain Jain. I live on 31 Del Barton Drive. And we have been living here for last 3 years, and we love 20 Road. This is a 100-year-old door, which is beautiful to me. That doesn't mean that it should be beautiful to everyone else. What I'm here to talk about, I don't support the historical preservation designation for this town or for this property, because I think I should be the one who is making the decision for my house, not someone else, and I'm gonna be very restricted to make any decision for my house if we are part of this committee. My windows are leaky. There's a lot of draft coming in. It's a wooden window. It's hard to get it fixed. I'm trying to put something there, but I want that to be my decision that I can replace my window or I cannot replace it. I don't want someone else to come and tell me whether I should replace the window or not. The second thing is, the question is, how did we get here? We get here by fear. Someone from somewhere came and said, oh, a developer is gonna come and subdivide your lot. All your lot is more than 1 acre. I did a lot of mathematics there. I spoke to the zoning officer, Eileen. She explained me that you cannot subdivide a lot which is 1 acre in your area. Your lot minimum size is 0.66 acre. That means that you have to have more than 1.3 acre area. Then I went back to zero. I tried to put everything together, and then I found there are only 4 or 5 lots which can be subdivided. So think about this tactics which has been used on our neighbors to tell us, oh, someone is gonna come put a townhouses there, gonna put multi-family houses there or apartment complex there. But I did more research on that. Can HPC preserve that? I found out HPC cannot preserve that. If a developer is gonna come up with affordable housing, this developer is gonna have a mandate for superior court, and HPC does not have a higher jurisdiction than superior court. So if a developer has an approval from superior court saying that you can build an affordable house there, then we cannot do anything. So you see how we got here.
You have 30 more
Can I-
seconds.
can I just-
Yes, you have 30 more seconds.
You see how we got here. We got here because of fear which was induced to us without evaluating those facts. And that is my problem. If we want to do historical preservation, we do it. But we do it with the right facts, not incorrect facts here. Not with the fear, with the motivation to save this community, to save the state. And I'm all in for that, but I cannot do it this way. Thank you. And I'm the one writing letter to everyone and dropping in the mailbox.
Thank you. Anyone else? First time go around, please.
Hi, my name is Leah Cruz. I live on Whitney Road in the Knollwood section. I feel like our neighborhood is kind of like a mini Woodfield Estates. Everybody, all my friends and family who come to visit are always commenting how charming the neighborhood is. And when I drive through the Woodfield Estates neighborhood, I feel the same way. It's such a beautiful place. So I am for the designation. And I actually think I should bring it up to my neighbors because our neighborhood is so charming and I think it should be preserved.
So wait a minute, let me just, the clarification, I think I know you're on the opposite side, so you're not, you were noticed, but you weren't in the designation?
I live on Whitney Road, so this does not affect me.
Okay, so.
So I'm sorry, you're still in the first round
We
of
were.
people?
I'm
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry, I thought you opened it up to.
No, but go ahead, why don't you finish?
Okay, sorry.
And we'll let this one pass.
Misunderstood.
That's okay.
Anyway, I'm for the designation, as I sort of just explained. A lot of the, people in the neighborhood are talking about being against it because of bureaucracy and red tape. I feel that we already have so much of that in town or wherever you live, at your job or whatever it is. You need a permit for a renovation, you need a permit to own a dog. I haven't seen any of these people at TC meetings on a regular basis, so I feel like a lot of these people have no idea of the bureaucracy and red tape that the town deals with on a regular basis. The people that are here may have good intentions, but their children may not when they are the steward of the home or new buyers of their home. So again, I don't think bureaucracy, so I can't say that word, or red tape is really just a reason to be against it. Like that's just the way of life. I think we should preserve the beauty of Millwood. I'm for it.
Thank you. Thank you. So sorry about that, we just didn't check that address, but thank you for sharing. Please.
My name is Sonika Bamba, Sonika, Bamba, BAMBHA, and I'm the owner of 23 Grosvenor. And I want to mention that I'm only a homeowner, I'm not a builder, I'm not a developer. I want to tell you that the sudden demo freeze and historic consideration has put my family under extreme stress. For weeks, we've lived with this constant fear, uncertainty, and anxiety while trying to follow every required step with the township, Melbourne Township. Instead of focusing on my very young kids, my 2 young kids, I've been running around between these offices, just trying to, protect my house that I bought legally, that we always plan to rebuild it. I respect this commission, but I'm asking for fairness so my family isn't devastated by a process we never chose. This was meant to be our dream home, but right now it's just, so stressful and it's just giving us trauma. I wanted to mention that to you.
Thank you. Just clarification, your husband spoke earlier,
Yes,
is that correct?
correct.
Okay.
I'm his wife, so.
Yeah, thank you. Please, well, wait a
Can I
minute.
just go again?
No, hang on. We just gotta make sure we ran through everybody first. Is that? Okay. Now what I'd like to do is, if you don't mind, is have people that are here that, outside of this district, so we can just hear them out, and then we'll come back and
Can I ask
listen
a question?
then to the district.
Can I ask a question?
No, not really. Okay, so we have a process here.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, we have a process. So if you don't mind, anyone now who doesn't live in the district that would like to come forward, that would be terrific. And yes, we should let you go first and the first one in line.
It's
Thank you.
Theodore Kuntz, KUNDTZ. I live at 108 Forest Drive, which is in the old Short Hill section. We've been here about almost 40 years. We have a Horchern house, so I'm very familiar with the historical requirements. It's an 1885 house. So we've done a lot of work on it, and we've never had a problem in upgrading our house. We've done a deck, we've done roofs twice. We've done painting on the outside, we've done new front doors, we've done new siding, we've done landscaping upgrades, which is endless with the deer problem we have. We're constantly doing landscaping upgrades. And there's never a problem with that I've had with the Historical Society. Now, there's an old, many years ago, 30, 40 years ago, we did have a guy who was very difficult to deal with. But that was, Ord Lampy was his name, and it created a bad impression of the Historical Society. It's totally different now. So, you've got Allison running this thing and she's a delight to work with as far as I'm concerned. So, and the goal, I think, of this historical society is just to preserve what is historical and what makes our neighborhood so special. It's not to prevent upgrades to our homes, but to enhance the house, to enhance our homes with appropriate guidelines to preserve the integrity of the neighborhood. And that's the focus we should be having. We're trying to preserve the integrity of our neighborhood. We're not trying to stop anybody from doing upgrades, as long as they follow some particular guidelines. If you don't have guidelines, everybody can just do whatever they want, and we're gonna end up with a mess, and we're gonna lose a lot of value in our homes. So I can think of no better way to maintain and also improve the value of our homes than having an historical preservation committee, giving us some guidelines, some appropriate guidelines to help keep the integrity of our neighborhood. Keeping it as historical preservation, I think, is critical to what we are. And I would say, I would like to see the entire Short Hills area declared historical. I really think that would ensure our values and enhance our long-term longevity of having a community that's really unique. This is a unique area, and you hate to see it just disappear, and it could if we don't try to protect it. So that's what
Thank you. Anybody can jump up. I think we got somebody over here first, and then please, just if you want to, you can even get in line if you'd like.
Hello, my name is Annette Goodfellow. I live at 5 Grosvenor, been a resident there for about 8 years. And the way I see this is we have a lot of really old, historic, beautiful homes. When my husband and I bought, we followed the old adage that you buy the smallest house in the nicest neighborhood. And so when we think about a historic preservation, I fear that I could be in the same position as this gentleman here. We have the smallest house. And the fear that has been introduced here is the fear of, I've been living in this house for 30 years. I've been living in my dream house. I'm gonna die here. Well, congratulations that you live in your dream house. But some of us are in starter homes that do need significant renovation. I mean, an expanded ranch, it is going to need renovation and will be constrained for the sake of people who want to retain their individual home value. And they do not care about these non-conforming houses that are in desperate need of renovation just because you fear a modern home, because it's not your personal style. Because something isn't your personal style, shouldn't dictate whether this gentleman or ourselves or others have the ability to renovate in substantial ways. Because let's be real, as many beautiful homes as there are so many homes that are in need of renovation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody just jump up, yeah.
Hi, I'm Rob Singer. I'm a builder actually in this town, so I thought I would give a little bit of a different perspective.
I think people confuse you with me.
I have no skin in the game here, so I'm just gonna speak about my experience that I've had. I was always very, very reluctant to kind of jump into this. As a builder, it scared me. But not too long ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I actually bought a piece. And I've built a lot of homes in town. I bought a piece, I believe it was on Linden. It was in Milburn. And I've done them in Short Hills, I've done them in Milburn. And the experience was really, really good. I was so surprised. I dealt with Allison, I dealt with Barton Ross, who is, I guess, their consultant. And, strictly from a financial standpoint, I actually think it was beneficial because, so strictly from a financial standpoint, it's like, I look at it like, buyers don't wanna buy something that doesn't fit into a neighborhood. It doesn't have to be exactly like every other house. But the whole point of this is that there's a nod to the history of the development. It's not that hard from our end, and they were super accommodating. And I can't even believe I'm standing here saying this, but it was a pleasure. I recently did 2 larger houses on Old Short Hills Road. And, you know, it was a give and take, and it was a very, very healthy experience. And in the end, I think that the people that bought were happy that they bought a home that fit into the township. I was proud of building homes that ended up looking like they belonged in Short Hills. And, you know, that's what it's all about. It's about like a working relationship. And on top of it, and this is the single most important thing, I made money. And that's the thing that should resonate with everybody here. Like, I think I didn't just make money, I probably made more money than if I thought I was gonna just be a cowboy and do it on my own. So, you know, it was a great experience. You know, and I thought it was important to kind of convey that to the people that live in the neighborhood. That's it.
Thank you.
All right.
Tear down a contributing property?
I'm sorry?
Did you tear down a contributing property?
I did both. So I took down on Old Short Hills Road, I took down. Am I on a timer? I took down a house on Old Short Hills Road, and other homes I did renovations. And there were there were suggestions on the houses I took down, and there was a back and forth. They were all great experiences. That's it.
Thank
I gotta go.
Wow, but thank you very much.
Good evening, my name is Rob Friedman, I live in the mountaintop section of Short Hills. A little bit of background, I invest in companies, not real estate, but I grew up in a real estate construction family. And also a rental apartment family. And I inherited property after my dad passed away in Harding Township. And I inherited 15 acres. Took me a long time to get all of the permits from a builder to build on that property. And I understood, you know, I didn't live in Harding, I understood the feeling, the aesthetic of that town. And when I had to go for variances, and that town is a very, very hard town to get variances. I engaged an architect and I said, I want stone and clapboard. I wanted it configured a certain way. I was very mindful of my neighbors. I knew what the town wanted. I knew what the people who would move into the town would want. I'm stating that because Short Hills has a unique aesthetic character. Now, I'm also a small government person. I'm very reluctant for the government to get in the way, typically in terms of people making individual decisions. But in this case, and I've heard a lot of hyperbole on each side, I don't get the sense that the guidelines of this historical preservation commission is onerous. And I come from a builder's family. And also, very quickly, there was a spec house being built down the street from me. And so they maximized everything. The design is not harmonizing with the neighborhood. And so we need guidelines, we need basic guidelines, in my opinion, to keep up with the character of this town. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Good evening.
It doesn't work, just speak
Doesn't work
loud.
anyway. Kevin Willens, 31 Northern Drive, Willens, WILLENS. And so I'm here, I'm not an advocate for either side. I respect both discussions. What I bring is I've lived in town 37 years and 30 years in the Park District historic section on Northern Drive. And we've done, over the 30 years, we've done, actually, we're starting our third renovation of the house, and we've done maintenance throughout, and we've always been able to do what we envisioned working with the historic preservation. So I think what I'm, really want to deliver, and we just went through one, we're in the middle of, like I said, a project right now, and just went through the process, and actually found it, because, when you talk to people, they say, oh, you gotta go to the historic commission, it's gonna be a nightmare, you're gonna spend 2 years, not be able to do anything you want. That just wasn't our personal experience. We really got through in, one preliminary meeting and then one final meeting and so forth. And it was actually a collaborative effort, because we love our home too, and we, part of going through the process is it makes you think about like what's special about your home, because we all love more space, right? Space is a great thing, but sometimes space comes at an expense. So for us, we found it helpful to think it through. It wasn't like, we could just do everything we wanted, but everything we tried to achieve, whether it was, 25 years ago under Historic Preservation Commission, that, wasn't as easy. We were able to get the kitchen size we want. And then, a number of years later, we were able to get one of our bedrooms for our children the size that we wanted. And now we're able to get one other section and get a garage that's actually a working garage rather than one that was built for, I don't know, it was 1931, so it wasn't built for carriages, but it wasn't built for the kind of cars and so forth. So we found the process, really good. We never came, over the 30 years, we never had additional costs that we felt that, every time we needed to replace things that were rotting or whatever, that, we did it, we kept it within the style. We never found that we were being imposed on to do maintenance. And, really quickly, I think we've benefited, because it's nice being in the district, knowing that all your neighbors, and we've had projects that have been proposed that were turned down by the Historic Commission, because they were, doing things that were gonna be, well beyond, the scope. So I gotta
Yep, we're
finish
sorry.
up, but
We could listen to you all day long. But unfortunately, we do have to cut you off. Thank you, Mr. Willen.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience?
Can I come back actually, because I did not.
Yeah,
finish
as
my
soon
thought.
as we just see if no one else wants to get up and speak, then certainly let's take this, anyone who wants to have a second round, that'd be terrific.
It's very interesting to hear thoughts about historic or not. Since we have lived in the town for 11 years, we have been looking for a new home for 3 years. We found a bunch of properties in Short Hills, which are part of historic district. There were actually 2 we looked at on Highland Avenue, and we really liked them. And Arlene Gonella was representing and trying to sell them. And I'm like, Arlene, this is great, but this house is empty. It seems like the roof needs a lot of work. It's open, what's going on? And she's like, well, the owners left, they moved to Florida, they're trying to sell the house. But when they did the inspection, somebody put the offer and the roof has leaks. I'm like, okay, so what's going on? She's like, well, it's part of historic district, so the roof has to be repaired before they sell the house. I'm like, okay. She's like, it's a slate roof. So I'm like, okay, I didn't know what a slate roof is. I have no idea. So I'm like, why are they not fixing it? It's like, it's $300,000 cost. Like, so it's like no buyer wants to buy a house and spend $300,000 putting a slate roof. Regular roof, which is $40,000, cannot be put in, and that's just not allowed. So this property is now stuck. So the homeowner who was trying to, I think, sell it for 3.1, I'm roughly remembering the numbers, could not sell it. They end up spending $300,000 fixing the roof, changed the price to $3.5 million because they just put $300,000. even then, nobody will even put the offer because the house needs so much work. Arlene was literally messaging us and saying, Manik, put an offer on it, I'll get you a sweet deal. The property has been sitting on the market, it's 1 acre, and nobody was putting an offer on it because it's part of the historic district. Now, there are a lot of benefits of doing that, I hear my neighbors and I respect it, but I think it's a homeowner's decision. If everybody wants to live in a community where somebody else is making a decision on it, those are called apartments. We bought individual homes, we bought individual lands, so we can make those decisions. And if you think your neighbors are dumb who are spending millions of dollars, these people are not dumb. Let's respect each other. We all are here in Short Hills because we learn how to do certain things right. Now, if you don't like their style, you don't have to. Now we're talking about, well, your home should look like this because I don't like it. Tomorrow you're commenting on people's cars. Third day you're commenting on their clothes. Where is this going to end? Tomorrow people are going to be like, I don't like the way these guys wearing their jackets. I want them to wear jackets like this. Let's put another commission on it. I don't think it's fair. Coming back to our case, we don't need to be here. We already have a home in Short Hills. If people have an opinion on our property, great. Write us the check, let us walk. We are happy to leave everybody alone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we maybe had.
Mr. Humphrey?
Thank you.
Do I repeat myself again? My name is Hitesh, last name is Jain, J-A-N. I live on 34 Delgarton. I couldn't finish my earlier thought process. So, as I said, there's not a lot of transparency which was put in this process. A lot of people doesn't understand what a contributing property means, what a non-contributing property means. Some people think since they own a newer house, they are immune to this process, but it is not. They are not immune to this process. They have to still go through the review process and everything. The second thing, the timing. This particular hearing was intentionally put during the winter vacation. What I did last week when it was snowing, Saturday, Sunday, I went door to door. Every homeowner, I couldn't cover every single one in the Woodbridge State, but I went to door. I covered Delgarton, I covered half of Kenilworth, and I covered one more street. I spoke to few residents, I spoke to few owner, and then I explained to them that what is this, and they were shocked. Oh, does this mean this? I cannot do this, I cannot do this. And they were like, oh, Hitesh, I never signed up for this. What had happened, there was a formal get together sometime back, and then we all as a neighbor went there. A lot of people doesn't understand anything, HPC committee member came and then they presented something there, and all of a sudden in the same meeting, they were asked to sign a supporting document for this. So that is what the lack of transparency also has been impacting me. Now, when I go door to door, I have already signature of 20 neighbors who are saying they don't want to do this. And I have in return wet signature for their. Some of them have reached out to you over the HPC and town clerk also. There have been at least 20 neighbors I know, and I don't know, a lot of them here are also not supporting. So most of the neighbor does not want it, and I think you guys should respect that. I have a letter here, petition signed, everything for that. I can submit it to the town clerk when we go to the township meeting. But please understand that this was not a lot of transparency here. If you want to do it again, yes, let's have a meeting again. You haven't answered yet how many people have voted for this thing. When I wanted to ask you a question, you said no, question is gonna be later. So at this point, I don't even know how many neighbors came to you guys to say, yes, we want to do the historical. So lack of transparency is killing me. Oh, that's 31 seconds. Now, if you want to do it, what we are departing is just do an honest conversation. Let's teach each and every neighbor what does that mean for their property. And yes, the property values are gonna decrease. I spoke to so many real estate agents. I spoke to so many architects before I decided to start writing letter. All of them said, Hitesh, property value is a pool of buyer and seller. You reduce the buyer, your property value is gonna go down. That's simple. Stop. How many people want to buy? How many people want to sell? You reduce the buyer pool, your property value is gonna go down. This as simple as this. So if you want to do it again, please do it again. Let's have an honest, transparent conversation. I'm all in for that, but not this way that the people are not even here for winter vacation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I said Jane, did you say, I thought you said your first name was Jane.
No, my last name is Jane,
Sorry.
J again.
I apologize, I'm just, I heard.
Thank you.
My first name.
Pasternak, 28-year resident of Short Hills. I live in the Glenwood section. When we came to New Jersey from London, we were looking for a place to live that was not too far off the gorgeous historic Richmond suburb of London, where we lived for 10 years, to raise our family with 4 children. When we saw Short Hills after we spent time in Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, we just couldn't believe what a beautiful place it was and how well suited it was to the dream we had to have something that looked and felt the way Short Hills felt. So we bought a home. It was rebuilt by the former owners because their house burned to the ground. Unfortunately, there was a lightning strike and there was no water to get to the house, so it burned to the ground. Al Bull, I think he's a retired now architect. He specialized in designing homes that would preserve the look and feel of a former home's history and place in the neighborhood. He designed the home and he did a truly outstanding job. Not only did the exterior fit in, but the interior was modernized and very adaptable for a family of our size. Our friends and neighbors still think that our home has been there forever because it fits into the look, the scale, and the streetscape of our neighborhood. It makes us proud, and we certainly have done all we can to preserve that design that Al Bull had in mind. The Glenwood neighborhood does have homes that deserve, I think, historic preservation. It's my hope that we can explore the same designation process for our beautiful neighborhood. I want to thank the people who put the time and energy into doing this for the Woodfield Estates neighborhood, and I hope that we can use that knowledge and process ourselves. We all benefit from that effort. I've closely followed what has evolved in the 40-year-old Mount Laurel and the only 2-year-old affordable housing law that's been imposed by the state of New Jersey on all municipalities in our state. We have a great responsibility as a community to find ways to push back on this gross overreach into our bucolic suburban towns. Historic designation is a protective measure that will help our community preserve the very things that we were all drawn to when coming to settle here. Finally, I want to say that there are risks associated with everything we do, including buying homes in this town or any town. Laws change, things change. While it's unfortunate timing for some, the job of our elected officials is to act as a fiduciary of our town and to do whatever is right for the community as a whole, now and in the long term. That's what makes community, and that's why I'm proud to be here in this town, involved, engaged. I fully support the historic designation in this instance, and I hope in many other neighborhoods to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Please.
Brown soup. Doing this in 3-minute intervals doesn't really work for me, but I know what the things are. But let me just try and cut to the chase. If we make this a historic, I don't think there's anybody here who thinks it's a great idea to level houses in our neighborhood and to build 2 houses on the same lot. I mean, that's fine. I think everybody agrees on that. We're not arguing about that. And it's, so that part seems to be some way we could deal with another way, with covenant land or whatever we do, but we can definitely deal with that issue. Question is, what are we doing when you want to make a repair on your house? And the short answer is, you can see the repair from the road, you gotta come to you guys, to the committee. And we have to ask for a certificate of appropriateness, right? So if you can see it from the road, you can do it. So some houses, front, back, side, whatever, they can be seen from the road, they have to come and ask for permission. Other people can't be seen from the road, they can do what they want. So one of the questions is, we're trying to preserve the neighborhood, but and if you believe this is the way to preserve a neighborhood, by making people come to you every time they want to make a minor repair, okay, that's a level of bureaucracy. If on the other hand, you believe that people should be allowed to do what they wish within limits, and that we are pretty much grown-ups living in this neighborhood and generally sensible people, then we shouldn't have to come to you and ask permission. We should be trusted to look after our home. In my experience, when I say I've lived here 34 years, people around the neighborhood are pretty good. I mean, my neighbor the other day was putting down new paving. It's great, it looks really nice. But they didn't come to you and ask you. It wasn't the same as their old paving. It wasn't the same as the original paving back in 1928, but it was nice paving. And it's not my decision whether they have blue paving or green paving. That's not my job. And it's not your job with the greatest respect. Because it's all subjective. Now, they tell us, and your fan club, Alison, was here today in force, and they said what a great person you are and how you do such a great job. And I'm sure you do. But the problem is, you're not here for life. In fact, you could be gone this time next year. And the government of this town has changed dramatically over the years. And we could end up with a committee that really doesn't really have much sympathy with the millionaires living in our district. And they can be quite harsh on us. And so we can't rely on the fact that you're a reasonable person. We have to assume that somebody's going to hold us to the words of this ordinance. So when it says things like, you may not replace, you must repair instead of replacing, that's what it means, and that's what they'll make you do. And so that's what I think. And let me, if you just bear with me 1 second. What I wanted to talk about was, even if that decision is being made, and that should be made amongst all of us, but even if that decision is being made, this committee can't just write a report unless it shows that we actually live in a historic district. And you've given us this big 111-page report, and it doesn't show that we are in a historic district. It doesn't have the information in it to show that we are historic. It doesn't have the information to show we're architecturally special, and it needs to be, so we're not in a historic district in the first place. So you can't pass it along if we don't live in the right district.
So
I'll return, I can keep speaking, or I can sit down again, it's up to you.
well, it all depends. Would you like us to kind of answer some of these questions, or would you like to continue to keep speaking? Because
No, you can, if you'd like to answer my question,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay, so let's just make sure, because his 3 minutes were up. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward? Okay.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll go back. I'll come back.
Hi, I'm Frank Saccomandi, we're at 17 Lee Terrace. I was debating whether I would speak about this, because I am currently on the township committee. I am currently serving as mayor. But what I want to talk about is 2 years ago, I sat as the liaison for the HPC, and I got to learn a lot about the historic process. And I got to see a lot of applications come through. And I just wanted to say I was amazed at how great this board was. When applicants came before me, they worked with them, they tried to help them to, help economize, in areas that they could. They helped them, would help them with materials, et cetera. And, most people that came through seemed to have a very positive experience. We had one person who lived in a historic home, and they actually put an entire second floor on. And you would have thought, oh, that would be hard to do if you're in a historic home. But the fact of the matter is the historic designation doesn't prevent you from enhancing your home, from modernizing it. It just places some restrictions on, the keeping within the character. And I think that's what a lot of people here are concerned about. They don't want to see the character of their neighborhood change. There's cost-efficient ways, there's modern materials you can use in substitution of the original materials, and that's stuff that this board can certainly help with, and I've seen them help with. So, I think there's a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt around historic and what it means. But at the end of the day, I do think it protects the neighborhoods. So if residents of a neighborhood come forward and the majority of them want it, then, I think that's something that we have to consider. And I will say for the record thus far, when this process started, I received a petition of, people that lived in the area. And there are more names on that petition than there are on the petition circulating against it. So Just want to throw that out there, that it certainly seems like the majority of residents in this neighborhood are for this designation. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say something?
You may.
I'm Austin out at Woodfield. I just want to clarify something he said. We were definitely wanted to be informed about what was going on in this, and I think my wife signed something saying she wanted to be informed, put her name down, her contact information. We saw reports that we were signing a petition, we apparently signed some petition, alleged to have signed a petition saying we were for this. That's not true. So I don't know if everyone on that thing that you saw truly is in support. She got invited to a meeting to talk about it, which I think is great. Honestly, that's part of this, to have that discussion. But somehow that got misconstrued when she signed to get more information that she was in support of it. So I just want to put that out there because I think that what you may be seeing may be misleading. At least it was, when we saw it, we were shocked. So first off. Second off, the last thing I would say is I think it's really interesting people say, I think we should do this for all of Short Hills. It would be great to keep this for everyone. That epitomizes the fact that this is not, it's a slippery slope. Like, when do we stop and just say the whole town is historic so we can keep certain places how they are? And I think that's just a problem, right? We have to show evidence that this is a unique situation. This is not like every other part of Short Hills. If it's like every other community of Short Hills with a mix of some historic homes and some not, how do we say it's different and it should be recognized as historic? I actually believe in having historic parts of the town. I think that makes total sense. But it can't be that you look at something and say, well, there are some old homes, hence it's historic. That is too low a bar. It has to find a greater standard for, very, very historic, like specific homes. Like, I know that there are specific homes that are very unique and have, unique roof style beyond slate, like just, totally different homes, like things of that nature. Or whole streets that 80%, 90% of the homes are all historic. I get that. But we don't have that here. It's like completely, you've gone to a slippery slope of what is historic in this town. And if we're gonna say the whole town's historic, that's a whole different discussion. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Can I talk a little bit about the petition which Mayor is talking about?
You know what? I'd like to answer some of your questions. So as soon as
Can I take 1 minute? I'm not gonna take 1 minute.
Okay.
So, as I said, people were invited to a gathering. And that person was super respected, super honest. So people came there, there was a presentation by Alison about the historical committee. And then all of a sudden, people were asked to sign something which they did not understand well. So when I'm saying that I went to door, which HPC should have done, they should have went door to door, explaining people what this means, what it does not mean, and then ask them, do you want to sign this or not? When I'm doing this right now, I'm telling you, I went to around 22 houses. All of them signed my petition saying that we don't want that. So please, when I'm saying that there are a lot of people who doesn't understand that and they signed it, now they are saying that they don't want to do it. So please hear me out and let's redo this process again. I'm all in, but I just want to do it the right way, where people understand what they are trying to sign in here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Annette Goodfellow, 5 Grosvenor, and I want to echo his point exactly. I mentioned earlier that we are in one of the smaller houses in the neighborhood. It is an expanded branch, very little space upstairs. The neighbor who lives behind us is the exact same configuration. They have plans to renovate, and they've probably gone through the town council and gotten permits because we've got notification about it, right? We've been texting with them, are you coming? This is something that you're for or something you're against, right? We're just curious to their perspective. Their text says, I
don't know if it's legal. for
okay,
you
I
to-
won't read
yeah.
their text. The key thought was, I don't fully understand. And so, they would like to learn more, I don't fully understand. And so, just another piece of anecdotal evidence that there are people in this town, people who are gonna be impacted, who have renovation plans, who don't understand the implications of how this impacts them. And in particular, they said, we're a non-conforming house, I don't think this impacts me. Very much impacts them, because this is the type of home that, I've heard many of you just say, you can do the interior of your home. some of these smaller ranches are going to need a larger footprint. Those homes that need a larger footprint, many of these homes in Short Hills, I'm seeing 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 square feet. We are nowhere near that. And so to say, oh, well, you can renovate your kitchen, you know, for some of these smaller ranches, we have more ambition than a renovated kitchen. And the people who this impacts aren't even aware of that it's impacting them because they think their non-conforming home thinks that it doesn't impact them. So I think we need a lot more clarity and transparency in this process.
Well, thank you. And I think now is the opportunity to bear with us here and we can kind of clarify some of the misinformation that's going around at this point, if you guys will allow us to do so.
And I would just say that we need a way to do that for the people who aren't in the room as well.
I understand. Thank you. If you will allow me just for a minute, and certainly any of the commissioners, can certainly jump in. First of all, I want to say that the reason that we just don't let somebody hold their hand up and say, I have a question, is because we have a process and we want to give everybody the opportunity to speak however they feel. And remember, it's respect to all. So certainly that was the procedure, and thank you so much. It doesn't always happen this way, and we appreciate how kind you've been to everyone who has stood up. Second of all, I think there were a couple of things that I just wanted to hit on, and the fact is that you really don't know us at all. But we have 4 commissioners that have and live in a historic house, and they've also renovated it. So they've lived it, some contributing, some non-contributing. So who else better understands something than somebody who is actually gone through the process? So much, and we believe in it, that we're now setting on this commission. Just a little bit of back history. I've been on this commission for 19 plus years. I think it's almost 20. I know that's hard for you to believe because I look so young, but all joking aside, when I came on this commission and I was asked to be on this commission, or if I wanted to be on this commission, one of the things that I did do is write down everything that I thought would streamline this commission. So the wait times, we all lived it. So some of us renovated our houses long before this speed track that we put on. We also changed ordinances. We're always constantly looking on how to streamline this, less government control. We really are trying to do this, and I think we've done an extremely good job of streamlining it. I think one of the biggest myths here is that if you're in a non-contributing house, that we don't allow you to tear it down, we don't allow you to make repairs as you see fit. What we try to do is just make sure that it's all in keeping. So for instance, if you wanted to tear down your house, and I understand there was a woman who mentioned, people are building 4,000 and 5,000 square foot houses. Zoning allows a property, okay? It's a one size fits all, okay? So whatever zone you're in, okay? So the 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house that somebody's going to knock down, somebody could build, depending on your lot size, 10 to 12,000 square feet from 4,000. That affects the actual environment around it, the houses around it, all of those things. So again, that's how neighborhoods break down, okay? Is when someone decides that, instead of a 6,000 square foot house, look, I can have a 12,000 square foot house. So those who are concerned about what the community and the neighborhood and how it's going to change, in our experience, that's exactly how we've seen them change, is that one size fits all zoning regulation. Historic preservation really looks and asks, okay, can we do this more appropriate size and scale to all of your neighbors? Okay, because the true neighborhood here is about the land and the trees and how far the houses set from one another. So again, a lot of what we do is ask. A non-contributing house can be torn down immediately. Well, not immediately. You have to go through a demo permit. You show us what you want to build. It's also a documentation. But more importantly, I'd like to go back to what Mr. Humphrey said. First of all, since 1990, now keep in mind, since 1978, when the Historic Commission first started, in 1990, there were multiple neighborhoods mentioned, and Woodfield was one of those neighborhoods. It has an incredible history. For those who don't know or did not read the brochure, this was the Taylor Estate, and that's Taylor Park. She and Mr. and Mrs. Taylor, this is where their mansion set, was on this particular property. This very map dates back when it was first decided to be a development. So the reason it was a development, because Mr. and Mrs. Taylor moved, the builder came in, or the developer came in, and he had an idea for this community. There's all kinds of literature talking about it, when it happened, but in 1990, that district was actually recognized to be designated. So there was enough history, and at that point, we're about 40 years behind. So to your point, you know, all of these communities, there are pockets of still great resources of, well, historic resources. So when it was brought to our attention that neighbors were interested, of course, we looked into it. The report was written, and then that's how this all began, okay? So again, answering your question, this property and these houses have an crazy amount of history, and a lot has been written about this particular area, okay? Slate roof, just so everybody knows, yes, all roof is expensive, whether it's synthetic, slate, copper, whatever you put on this. Building costs are going up, as we're all very much aware. But to say, first of all, when you look at a slate roof, it lasts 100 years, okay? When you repair a slate roof, you only replace possibly pieces. The story goes, you know, if you buy a house and the roof is 110 years old and never been repaired, then you have great expense. If it's kept up, it lasts another 100 years. So just so you know, but this commission has certainly thought about other ways, like Mr. Sacramento said, is that we have a list of acceptable materials for, you know, whatever you're interested in. Our goal is to make sure that it's affordable to you. A lot of what we do is ask, okay? So we'd like you to do this, or, you know, would you consider this? And there is never, in my mind, there has never been anyone who's walked away from this commission, not with not only better products, because we have a list of what is out there and what works and what doesn't work. So please keep in mind, our job is to get you through this commission the first go around. We have an architecture consultant, historian, who makes sure that you get through us the first go around and offers any suggestion or alternative way of doing the exact same thing. We're not here to take away square footage or tell you you can't add it. So I think there's been, let's go back to then fear, okay? I think there's been a lot said that makes people fearful of this process. You can look on the internet and, my gosh, you can fear ladybugs if you'd like, because it will tell you why. So let's be careful and make sure that we're all looking at what this commission and what our regulations say. When it says guideline, it's a guideline. It's not in stone. We look at everything that you're telling us And then we work with you to accomplish what you would like to do. Okay, we're not here to spend your money. We're not here to do that. And we, as a commission, I think we do a very good job of not demanding, but listening to you and working with you before you come in front of the full commission. For instance, say for instance, you have those three sides that are exposed, okay? We have went with then the homeowner to stand in front of zoning to support that application. And why it's necessary that you need a fence, because it is your backyard. So what I'd like everyone to do, and that is to ask questions, especially those who have been through the process. Also, we have always had an open line of communication. You can call any of us, I think, and it's listed. You can email us, and we're more than happy to help you understand. Each one of your houses are a thumbprint. They're all different. And let us support you in that, okay? It's not a one size fits all in these historic districts. So you have either a different lot size. At one point it was subdivided. At one point, houses were built later in the 50s. So again, your house is its own thumbprint. We look at your house as an individual and we work with you. And I don't think there's anybody here that would say that that's not true. As far as, am I going to stay here? I've been here for 20 years and they can't get rid of me. Now, that doesn't mean they can't, they just haven't. Not only that, but with each step we make in this process, all of these people are trained and understand this. So if something happened to me tomorrow, someone would step in my spot who is just as informed and working through that process just as I have, okay? My vice chair isn't here tonight, but he's been here, I think, over 10 years. We have Robert Frankel, I think he's been here almost 10, I think 12,
Yeah.
I know he doesn't look that old either. But as we keep adding people and they want to stay with us because they do understand, and it's not, we follow the guidelines, but we also look at you as individuals, okay? I think there's something else, the Whitfield history. Again, I think I can only say the financial burden, extra cost, that's what we're here for. We understand it. We understand it. 4 of us have been through it, okay? So no, we're not here to make you spend more money. The other thing is we're not here to hold your house in time, okay? I know you guys do not repeat this, but I'm pro-development, okay? But appropriate development. And not all architects that we hire, they sell themselves as historic architects, they sell us a bill of goods. So be careful, because sometimes it's not appropriate. Not only are you not getting exactly what you want, but the size and scale of this property would force you to go to zoning. And remember, this isn't something that you guys want, truly. So I think I pretty much hit on most things. Oh yes, the minor work. So what we did do is like replacing windows or the roof or paint color we have nothing to do with. But just again, minor work of, fixing a step. Basically you email, send it through, the minor work committee meets whenever there's an application. If there's 1, if there's 5, we immediately respond. Our consultants work every Tuesday. If you got it in on, Wednesday of one week, you're not going to hear back till Tuesday. If you got it in on Friday of that week, you're going to hear back on Tuesday. It just depends how it goes. It's not us telling you no, it's us giving you suggestions. Or it's thumbs up, you got it, go with it, run with it. But remember what that is. It's not to jam things up. We're writing this in history. So now you're a part of this historic family, okay? So anyone who looks through these documents, Woodfield Estates, they're gonna see this non-contributing house changed their windows on this date, blah, 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 blah. Because someday that house is gonna be 100 years old, right? So I think it's really important that you know what we're doing here instead of the mistruths or what you find online, or again, the scare tactics, okay? Contributing houses, just so you know, I won't get into the weeds, and I highly suggest that we speak, so we can kind of explain the process to you. I also think that Catherine can explain the process of what our obligation is here tonight, and then if it moves on to the TC, and then it would go another direction to the planning board, and then back to the TC. So again, this isn't the final of your discussions or you learning. And again, I don't think there's anyone who would ever say that I don't return calls, okay, or emails. So I welcome each and every one of you to call me directly. We'll take your house and we'll talk about your house as the most important thing in that community, okay? And then any concerns that you have, I'll certainly answer those for you, okay?
Can I resume?
Can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Well, I think you would like to all follow-up questions. I think, let me ask council at this point. We still have time, but again, we will limit you to 3 minutes, okay? Okay.
Okay.
How about a follow-up question, Edison?
All right, I'm still Peter Humphries.
I'm here.
I don't think where anybody's arguing that you're reasonable people. I don't think anybody's disputing that. You seem very reasonable and very nice, and that's great. But the problem is that what you're saying is we should designate this as a historical district because we're such nice people and we'll treat you well. Well, that's great, but the question is, are we a historical district at all? And when you look at the ordinance, it says that a historical district has got to be one where the buildings got to be united historically by plan or physical development. When I looked at my house, on one side I see a 20s house which has a modern extension. Next to that house is an empty lot. The house in that lot was totally level. Actually, it's not completely empty. It has a soccer goal in the lot, but it's a full-size lot. On the other side of the street, I've got a modern house built 9 years ago. I've got a Georgian house. I've got a Grecian house. I've got another 20s house. I look along the road, I've got 2 modern houses. Now, I don't think there is a plan. I don't think this district has a plan. What's happened in this district is the houses have been built every now and again, different styles. They're not united in any way. There might have been a plan in 1928, but there are only 25 houses in the district in 1928, and there's 54 now. So I don't think we meet the requirements for being a historic district at all. So you have no jurisdiction over us. You can't designate us if we don't meet the ordinance. Okay, now, when you've produced that, you've got a 111-page report out there. It doesn't show what's needed to show that we're historical, or we have architecture that's in some way significant. There are 1.5 pages in your report that deal with those issues. The rest is basically just pictures of houses where you don't have full details about the houses. And it's that brochure. The brochure from presumably it's, I don't know what it is, 1929, 1930, maybe slightly after the crash of 29, because it talks about people having economic problems. But it's somewhere around there. And it's a brochure produced by a building firm, not a famous building firm, just a run-of-the-mill building firm at that time. It's still, that firm still exists today, but they don't have any offices in Short Hills. Yeah, I know. But it doesn't have, that brochure is hearsay about what it was. And it really is it's a sales document. And we all know, if we look at sales documents for houses, it tells you a great area. Okay?
I appreciate it. Now we need to let someone else speak,
Okay.
if that's okay.
I'll try, but I would like to speak again, because I have an important issue to raise with you on the brochure. And, okay.
You wanna go now?
Yes. Okay. Oh, I need to go first.
I'm sorry. Oh, you can go.
No, it's fine.
Mr. Humphries does bring up, an interesting point, a good point, I think you addressed it, just want to get this home. In broad strokes, I really think there should be some sort of historical designation type of framework, whether it's in this district or other parts of town. But it is important to be mindful to make sure that these regulations are consistent and they are flexible. That is very important, because he does bring up a very good point that I wish we were all immortal and all ambulatory, but we're not. And regimes change, and there may be a different mindset that could, go right to the point, and they're into the power plays, et cetera, et cetera. But again, in broad strokes, I do believe that there should be some sort of historical district. That said, I think the neighborhood should vote on it. They should make the decision. But I just think everyone who's going to vote should keep this in mind. There are very powerful political forces that want to completely upend everyone's single lot zoning.
Yeah.
And if you think that you're dealing with a little bit of nuisance of a commission looking at this and looking at that, what do you think about having a multi-dwelling apartment complex next to your $5 million home? Now you tell me how you're gonna feel about that. And if you think that's hyperbole, just talk to very knowledgeable people that are very tuned in to what's going on at the state level, and they will turn that around. So think about that very carefully, because if you have a historical designation, you have a legal shield. Just ponder this. Ponder it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to ask a follow-up question. Do you think the HPC would have more?
Well, excuse me.
Than the state?
Yeah.
Alright, perfect. And listen, I have a question for you.
Yeah, and then you can certainly have a conversation
Sure, I'll
with
do
him.
that.
Okay.
But outside in the hallway.
Yes, definitely. My question is, you talk a lot about non-comforting property, that you can tear it down, you can expand it, you can do a lot of things, you can change the builder. How about the confronting property? Do you think you can tear down a confronting property also?
I would like to answer that when are you finished with all your questions or?
The second question which I have was. I think that's the only question.
Okay, so I certainly can answer that. We certainly have allowed contributing properties to be torn down. I will reiterate the fact that every house is unique. Okay, so your house is a thumbprint. It would be evaluated, okay, and see what's going on with it. Has someone maintained it? Have they not maintained it? There's a lot of things that we look at in a
Fully maintained house. A fully maintained house, do you think you can let it stay down there?
I think we would try to persuade you to keep it.
Okay, the second question which I have is, when you say that this is a recommendation, is that your recommendation or is that something which owner cannot turn?
Again, will you repeat?
So when you said that these are our recommendation, we work with you, we are not gonna force you, but do you think that owner has the authority to turn you down? Because if owner does not have authority to turn you down, those are not recommendations, those are orders.
Well, let me explain. It is our position to persuade you why you shouldn't tear it down. Now, if you choose to tear it down, we would have to have a good reason to do so. And if you could tell me a good reason why, then certainly we would look at that. We're not.
The good reason can be, I don't like my house and I want to build a new traditional colonial house here.
I would say that that's kind of, I just don't like my house, but yet it is a contributing property to that beautiful community. So I think probably, and I can't speak for all the commissioners, again, we'd ask you why, and it's just because you don't want it.
My wife doesn't want it, yes, let's put it that way.
Then I think we may not approve it.
See, that's what I'm saying. So what you are saying is not a recommendation. That's a typical orders which you want homeowner to follow.
Right.
And that was my point.
But what you're saying is that you wouldn't give us an opportunity to persuade you as to why the house adds value to that community. So we could go both ways here. So again, thank you.
You prove my point that as a homeowner, I lose my control on my property.
Okay.
I'll be real quick. I just want to reiterate what the prior gentleman said about the slippery slope. The slippery slope is if we don't have guidelines. You know what the builders want to do to our town. They would love to just overdevelop it. And if, in this commission, all they want to do is put in some guidelines to control it. I don't know why anybody would be against that. The slippery slope is not having guidelines. And that is what happened. It's any society, if they don't have guidelines and have laws, anybody can do what they want, anybody can build what they want. You're gonna end up with a mess, and our values will collapse and the town will be totally altered. So all they're asking for and want is guidelines. And why anybody is so opposed to having guidelines is beyond me. The slippery slope is truly if we don't have the guidelines.
I think guidelines.
Okay, excuse me. Remember procedure. I think they would certainly go after.
Just, okay, we have people that are for it, there are people that are opposed to
Wait a
it.
minute, hold on, you need your name.
My name is Ellen Steinberg, I live at 41 Kenilworth Drive. There are people that are for this, there are people that are opposed to it for various, varied and sundry reasons, which we've all heard about. But at the end of the day, and there are contributing properties and non-contributing properties. But at the end of the day, the designation should actually be decided upon, at least before you make the decision, by the residents that it's affected. These 54 homes, these 54 homeowners comprised of 26 contributing and 28 non-contributing. As Robert Friedman said before, we should vote on it before you get to the point of moving it to the township committee. It was wonderful that people had the opportunity to listen to what you had to say. And there are so many questions. So before we rush, bear in mind, these homes were 1928. So we're talking about homes that are 100, almost 100 years old. Can we wait another few months before you make a decision and not make it tonight to turn it over to the township committee? So we can have some more discussions and then maybe take a vote within our community and then move forward. And we move forward together. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. I think it would be important to answer that question right now. And I think maybe this is the time where we ask Catherine to, again, explain what we as a commission are voting on this evening. there's going to be multiple other opportunities and time for you to ask questions and et cetera. So Catherine, if you don't mind, can you run through this process again and it's.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, so, tonight, they're not deciding, this commission does not decide whether or not this neighborhood or any other neighborhood becomes historically designated. It's, they've reviewed the report, they take your comments into consideration, and then they decide whether or not to refer it to the TC for further evaluation. The ordinance sets out the process for how a designation is decided. The ordinance does not factor in a vote from neighborhood homeowners. So if that's something you want to change the ordinance, you'd have to talk to the TC because they're the ones that vote on and adopt the ordinance changes. But if you're not, if for or against, you voice your opinion here today. You're free to voice your opinion to the TC, who will ultimately be making the decision. But so the process from here is if the commission tonight decides to refer to the TC for further action, then they'll look over the report, they'll have a hearing, they'll discuss it at one of their meetings. And then if they decide to move forward with the process, it gets referred to the planning board, who then reviews the reports. They review the report that was drafted here, our recommendation, any comments from the TC. Then they make a recommendation back to the TC, who will then at that point vote. So there's still many steps along the process and many opportunities for you guys to have your voices heard, whether it's for or against. And definitely lots of opportunity to ask more questions. And I know there was a comment or a question earlier about how if someone's not here tonight, how they can get more information. Well, this session or all of our sessions are recorded and available on YouTube. So they can go back and watch and, listen to tonight's hearing or any other hearing if you want to see what the process is like for, for people that have to go through the process. And any questions about the process in general, all you have to do is call and ask. Anybody on this commission would be more than happy that, and township staff, more than happy to answer questions about the process. But tonight is just the first step in a multi-step process. And tonight isn't a decision. Either way, this commission does not make the decision, the ultimate decision.
So with that said, I'd like to add, what we're looking at is, do we as a commission believe that this neighborhood is worthy of designation? That's what we're voting on tonight. Does it meet the criteria in our ordinance to push it forward to the TC? Okay, so that's what we're voting on tonight. Disputing that, I think we've heard multiple, disputes on this. Certainly, again, you can dispute that in front of the TC. But just so you know, that's what we're looking at. Does it meet the criteria? And I know Mr. Humphrey's going to share with us again and how it doesn't meet the criteria, and we appreciate that. I think we've all heard, but if you feel like you one more time here,
No, I think I need to go maybe more than one more time. The criteria are in the ordinance.
Mhm.
You don't make the criteria in the 111-page document because you haven't shown in that document that we are a historic district. You have limited amounts of description. You have 1.5 pages. Certain things can be laughed at, like saying that we're historic because the roads are good. That's a joke. Then that's not a historic district just because our roads are good. You've got things in here where you try to tie this up with Stuart Hodge. Stuart Hodgson died in 1917. He had nothing to do with Woodfield Estates. Nothing. But his name's mentioned. You mentioned 4 individuals in this thing who are just ordinary folks. I'm sure they were very nice people. The one I like the best is H. Van Brunt McKeever. I wish I had a name like that. It's a terrific name. But he has no claim to fame at all. He's not a historical figure, nothing. You only mentioned one architect whose name was Kenneth W. Dalzell, Now, Dalzell's a very obscure architect. Dalzell is not well known. He has no fame as an architect in the United States. His main claim to fame, as far as I can tell, he may have designed a house in Short Hills, which was either demolished or never built. And perhaps he built a house for himself, but I'm not sure. But his main claim to fame, he built medium-sized houses in Maplewood. If you go to Maplewood, Dalzell houses are everywhere. But in Short Hills, nowhere. You haven't shown any architectural pedigree in the houses. I don't know, built, sorry. You have nothing in your materials that show any architectural pedigree at all. You don't list the architects, you don't list particular types of architecture. It's completely silent on the issue. So if we have to have significant historical architectural things to show, the district doesn't make it. It's not a historical district under the ordinance. So I'm afraid you don't have the authority to even recommend it for suggestion.
I appreciate.
Okay, now, so that's what I'm saying on this, and I don't think there's any other way to look at it, because you don't have the information in this document. All right, I don't know who wrote the document, but you didn't put that information in. You might want to go back and revise it and put more information in. You might want to explain why the district is in fact historical, or why the houses architecturally are distinguished. They are wonderful houses. Everybody loves the neighborhood. But we're talking about a definition in an ordinance.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna just go. Let me read you one piece
Sure.
from the brochure, because it's very, very important. I read you this one piece, because I do not want to embarrass anybody.
Sir, I mean, we're trying to keep, time limits. There are other people that, had questions. I know,
Let me read it, because I don't want to embarrass you, but I will embarrass you if you don't let me read it. Let me just read it.
No, now we will not. So can you please sit down and we will let other people.
Even though what I'm about to read you is a racist piece.
Well.
Even though this is a racist piece
First
in the
of
brochure.
all, we did not write this brochure,
So you included it in your material.
Sir, we have to put all facts in the materials, so I'm gonna ask you to please sit down for right now. We heard you, and we appreciate your
Well,
comments.
you actually haven't done it. Okay, I'm happy to give the floor to somebody else, so anybody else want-
There's
read those comments.
I have a question on process.
Well, can you please?
Yes. What happens next from here? How would we know about your decision? So is it gonna be posted on the website? Am I refreshing some Google something tomorrow? I just wanna know, how will I know what you have decided today? Second question, from here, you're saying it goes to township. I think some of the township committee members are here, 3 of them are, I think, here. How many votes are needed in township committee members out of 5 to approve it to go to the planning board? Third, does any part of this process, here, township committee, planning board, back to township committee, actually will do any kind of vote collection to see how many are pro or cons? There are 2 sides here, against it and for it. Both sides believe they have majority, because a lot of people are just not interested or not even here, they are in Florida. So is there a formal vote collection or not, that once this committee decides, township committee decides, planning board decides, again, township committee decides, the decision is done, and 45 of these homes have only way to oppose it, but is there a vote collection? Is this something we're gonna say who's up or not, or just want to understand the process?
Yeah, well, certainly I can answer our side of the process. We'd like to take a vote this evening if we move this forward to the TC. I think we do have a couple of TC members here. I think I only see 2, but maybe one of you would feel comfortable discussing what happens on the level of the TC?
Sure.
Okay.
So my understanding of the process is if the HPC votes tonight to advance it to the township committee, it will come before the township committee, will be another public hearing. And then the township committee members will vote on it. If there are more than 20% of the homes in the area that to be designated that oppose it and do so with a formal petition, then we require 4 out of 5 votes in order to advance it. If there is less than 20% protesting, then only 3 votes are required. Okay, now, as a township committee member, when I look at something like this, I will look at all of the letters that I received. I've received a lot of letters in support. I've received some letters opposed. I personally am gonna go through and I'm gonna look at who submitted the letters, who signed the petitions, and I'm gonna do my own tally. And I'm gonna determine for myself, and this is just, I'm not speaking for other TC members, but the way I will approach this is I will look and say, okay, do the majority of people in this neighborhood want it? The other thing that I'm gonna look at and examine is I've received a lot of letters from people that have said they don't want this, and they cited specific reasons. And those specific reasons are based on misinformation or in some cases completely false. So what I would encourage is for anyone here that has concerns or questions to take the HPC up on their offer, talk to them individually. I know Allison quite well. I've worked with her over the years, and I know that when I have a question, I call her and she takes all the time needed to explain it. And I would encourage you guys to do that because I think there is a lot of misinformation out there. And I think ultimately it's up to the residents. You guys should be the ones to decide if you want this, but you should have the right information. And at the moment, the last tally I did, it seemed like there were more people that wanted this than didn't. That's how I'm gonna approach it, and that's what we'll guide by.
Thank you, Frank, except for the fact that I thought maybe you were kind of adding that I talk a lot. She'll take all the time you need. No, we're trying to make light of this, even though it is your own personal property, okay? But we do take it very seriously. This whole commission does, and I want everybody to know that. So I think we have a couple more, and then I saw your hand raised.
I have a question.
Yes, can you come up to the podium and let us know who you are and.
Hi, Susan Mansfield, 1 Woodfield Drive. I am not on Schedule A, and I really don't know what that means for me. Am I not conforming or I'm conforming, I'm not either one, so how does this affect me? Am I part of the neighborhood, will this?
I believe you are on the 200-foot list of letting you know that the district, so you wouldn't be part of that historic
So I
district.
will have, okay, so none of this will affect me?
None of this will affect you. In other words, you're not, I hate that word affect.
But it's not a neighborhood thing, it's an individual houses on your list.
No, it is a boundary, and certainly there is a map to be had, and it's on the table here, so
Okay.
there is.
No, I called, I think my neighbors are, people across the street are,
Yeah.
the neighbors are, but.
Across the street
It's
they are.
only one side of the street.
It's one side of the street.
One side of
Okay,
the
Partial line makes no sense.
cause I did not understand that.
So there has to be a boundary.
Okay.
And what the developer purchased from the Taylor estate and then made it into this development. Okay, in the 20s.
Oh.
Okay,
Okay, good. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Oh, I have one more question. For the other people. Is this process go in phases? Like, is this phase 1 with the Schedule A? Is there gonna be another part of that going
Right.
forward?
I
Schedule
think
B or?
We just said that.
Oh,
If-
you did?
What happens is we figure out, this commission's gonna decide whether or not this has history to move it forward, deemed historic. Then it goes to the TC, at their hopefully next meeting.
No, I understand the process, but I'm
Yeah.
saying, like, will
Public?
my house, ever be considered to be historic, like, or am I out of it for good, like, will you do like another adding more houses later? I don't know, I mean, it seems odd that the neighbors are across the street, but not me, I mean, it's a very odd.
Can't say that.
I mean, they could make another.
It's really, you know, I'll be honest, we have multiple areas that could be considered for historic designation. To say that your, you know, where your road begins and I
Not me
cannot.
now, it won't be me later. Who knows?
I can't say, I really don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
I have a question.
I have that's a real quick
Yes,
question.
smoking, yeah,
And
I know.
Sorry, I just had a quick question on the process, though, I apologize. I know you said it's your turn, you'll do the vote and you're taking the vote, and there's been a lot of like opinions and, you know, definitions and whether you fit. Are there any like objective criteria that you're focused on here that I, just so I understand what's, cause a lot of it's like, was it established in 1928 as historic versus, you know, or is it more of looking at what it looks like now, or well, like, I guess I'm just trying to understand what's gonna lead your vote here, just so there's been a lot of like opinions and how it affects people, but I'm almost more focused on, to his point, is it historic, and is that what the determination is, like, and how do you go about that thinking?
And maybe we'll let Matt speak on that as soon as we, if you don't mind, Matt, but this gentleman had a question.
Yeah.
And name and.
Yeah, I'm Vipin Kumar, resident of 7 Dalbarton Drive, that's a contributing property. My question is, especially to the voting, like in a home, like let's say I am against or I am favor and my wife is other way around. So there are 2 votes, or it's going to be considered as a single vote. That's what
Would you like the property?
I think you got a bigger problem.
I'm taking it you don't agree.
So is that gonna be like separate, like that's a question, maybe whoever, wherever
Well,
will
like-
be doing the voting.
Well, how you vote, you would cancel each other out, right, if you're in this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not a, like an address, like type of vote, it's an individual. with one
It is
address.
an address.
But
He's understand there's not gonna be a vote.
yeah, there isn't a vote through the neighborhood. It's, you can voice your opinion to, you know, tonight, you can voice your opinion to the TC, you can, you know, sign a petition in support or in opposition. So you and your wife are both free to do, you know, voice your opinions either way, you know, one way or another. But there is no vote of the property owners.
Okay, thank you.
Got it. So Matt, if you don't mind, there seems to be some questions about how why we call this historic, and why.
Yeah, so by the definition of the National Park Service, anything over 50 years old is considered historic.
You speak up.
Yes, sir. By the definition, anything over 50 years old is considered historic. That now kind of all encompasses ranch houses, crop ceilings, stuff like that. And there are levels to, I guess, historic districts in their level of significance, whether it just be a really nice collection of Tudor style houses like you guys have, or an eclectic style of pre-war buildings that are all there, that are all Tudor, and then the advancement of the undeveloped lots that turn into the rent styles or the colonial arrivals that come in later. It's not as black and white as I wish it could be, but even the development and the evolution of your neighborhood is considered historic in the grand scheme of things, by that 50-year cutoff. And that's not a New Jersey thing, that's just a national thing.
And so I'm just gonna add to that, to be clear, the ordinance does set out criteria that need to be met. You know, that this commission, you know, so they're looking at the ordinance, looking at the report, and does the report satisfy the conditions of the ordinance? So there are criteria outlined.
And then someone was speaking about key contributing, I figured I'd clear that up. There are some houses in here that are just, you know, one of one, just incredible architectural achievements from the time. But usually key contributing is designed for municipal buildings or churches. So that's kind of why there aren't any key contributing, because that's usually how they're determined.
Okay. Do we have anyone else? I'm afraid. Come on up, Mr. Humphrey.
Thank you, that's fine. I just want as I said, I don't want to embarrass people, but I do think it's important that we as a community make this point. In the brochure, you put in the report, it says, Woodfield is sensibly and intelligently restricted. Then it goes on to say, the only real protection against encroachment by undesirables lies in attaining residents to a community so firmly founded and so strongly held that no possibility can ever exist for lowering of the rigid restrictions. That was written in the 30s. That's a dogmas. It says whites only. And it doesn't even say whites only. It says WASP. It says no Jews. We live in a community. In our community is multiracial. We have WASP like me. We have Jews like my wife. We have Asians. We have Indians. We have African Americans. And I think as a township, since it's got the seal of the township on the front cover, we should all make a firm statement that we totally reject any types of restriction on who is free to live in our neighborhood. And I hope you will take the opportunity to refute this language and to make it clear that it was a mistake to put it in the presentation. That's all I have to say. But that's why I don't want to embarrass you, but I want to give you the opportunity to please make it clear that this belief is no longer held by the township or this community. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey, I just want to say one thing. You made a point earlier that that was a private brochure and it may have the township stamp on it, but it was a private developer building those homes back then that made that statement. That's not representative of our township as a whole. And whether there's a dog whistle in there or not, that can be argued as well. You could be talking about classes. You don't want poor people coming into the community. It's not necessarily racial or other demographics. I'm not going to get into that semantics, but you can't have it both ways. It's either representative of our community and we can use it as historical, or it's a private document that was a developer took it on their own to say something that may not have been satisfactory to our current times. So that's all that's what I'm saying.
I'm just trying to make it clear.
Oh,
From a personal point of view, I strongly object to any restrictions on anybody who wants to live in my neighborhood.
And there are no restrictions.
So, and can I just make it clear that it's actually illegal to put any kind of restrictions on?
So all you have to do, I just gave you the opportunity to refute this section of something you included. I leave it up to you whether you take this opportunity. But I would have thought everybody would take the opportunity to say, we don't agree with these statements. And we refute this position. That's it. That's all I have.
I wanted to talk about, I actually wanted to answer one of your design questions. That's all I wanted, because you had talked specifically over and over again, repetitively, about there not being any kind of beautiful history in this, or the roads only. And I want to talk about, like, if you clearly go through this document, you talk about, oh, there's some Tudors in there. These Tudor revivals are stunning, okay? They're stunning. The coursework on the brick is very unique. The quality level of the construction doesn't exist today. There's leaded glass windows. They have multiple gabled pieces and hand-hewn wood pieces put in. They're not like a faux Tudor today. So I just want to throw that out there, because that is one of the most special things about that neighborhood. And that's, and it's one of many. Okay, so I want to bring that up. They're not just some random Tudor homes. These are stunning homes, and they all share a unique kind of continuity between each of them. So I just wanted to throw that out to you. So I just,
I totally agree with you. I live in one, but that wasn't my point. And I didn't mean to be competitive, except every time I have to get
You're
triggered.
passionate about it. I should have used a different word. You're passionate.
All I'm saying to you is that there are definitions of what historic district is that we don't make.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying, and if there, all this stuff about the Tudors, it's not in the 111-page report. What you said is not in the report. And I only can live and die on what you choose to write, and if you don't choose to write it, I don't know what to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Can I assume we have no one else coming forward? Great, okay, so now I'd like to take this time, first of all, any commissioners with any comments or questions or clarifications or, and at this point, you know, this is, we're gonna talk amongst ourselves here, unless they direct a question to you, okay? Hearing none? No? Okay. That will move us then to, a vote. Do I hear a motion to approve the designation of the Woodfield Estate, Short Hills Historic District based on what Catherine, our ordinance and the brochure that was given?
Just to be clear, Allison, we're not making a designation. We are recommending that the
Okay,
township.
correct.
make a
Thank you
designation.
for that clarification. Thank you. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Sarah?
Allison Canfield,
Yes.
Robert Frankel,
Yes.
Brad Jenkins,
Yes.
Gary Rosen,
Yes.
Christine Best,
Yes.
Ray Calcano.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is the end of the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. So thank you all for coming. Really appreciate the time. Thank you. I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion?
Second.